Hello, hello, hello. Well, thank you for being here with me once again on another episode of A Legacy of Love. And with that said, of course, I have my first book that came out, Un Legado de Amor, A Legacy of Love. I have here in Spanish. And the following book is called The Legacy Continues. And with that said, what is this book about? What legacy? It continues. It's actually my own mother's legacy that I have actually been able to adopt myself. And I hope that you also adopt it yourself, wherever you're at, whatever your story is, but always seeking the Lord. And I want to share a little bit more about this book. It's a chapter book, just like the previous one. And it's obviously sharing a little bit more of what I've gone through. We all go through so many things: introduction, preface, forward, from Kevin Harrington, the original Shark Tank guy, as well as Brandon T. Adams. Such a blessing. It talks about Napoleon, Elvis, and Alma. That's my mother. The God of healing, blended families, challenges, mental health, and well being when the woke agenda comes home. Blessed to be a blessing to others, high hopes, and the Jezebel spirit, more than I've ever dreamed or imagined. Mission and ministry, uh, and the ending of this. Of this book. So I'm going to share a little bit more about Napoleon and Elvis and the love that my mom had for these guys, for these people. And the reason why many people would think, oh, because he was famous, oh, because he was obviously Elvis Presley, or Napoleon, what he did, he killed so many people. No, there's more to that story. Seeing the whole picture and really getting to know who these people were, the love that they had, their mother, the role that their mother played in their life at a very young age. That's what my mother saw. Their humble beginnings, where they came from. Uh, One of them, Elvis, came from food stamps, a neighborhood that was full with all kinds of different cultures and backgrounds, ethnicity groups, between obviously African American, him being Anglo, and I'm assuming also maybe even Hispanic. So my mom loved that. Receiving people as who they are, where they come from. It does not matter. We're all human beings, right? At the end of the day. And how he started through his humble beginnings at a very young age. He was just very young, and then he became very famous. But he lived off of food stamps. They had a very hard life in the past. But his mother was the center of him becoming who he became. Um, and his mother meant so much to him. The same way with Napoleon. And you're going to know her name was Letitia. And what they would say. And I believe that the mother plays an amazing role in the formation of the child, but as well as the outcome and who they will become. So let me share what my mother believed, and I definitely honor that. I believe in the same things and how she would see people. It says, my beloved mother greatly admired Napoleon Bonaparte and Elvis Presley, Napoleon, Elvis, and Alma. Among my many fond childhood memories, I recall a porcelain figurine of Napoleon on his horse that sat on a shelf in our home, and Elvis records were frequently on the turntable. I should explain that the Napoleon connection. My mother was very proud of her heritage. While her parents were born both in Mexico, her grandmother, Elvira, came from Spain, and her great grandmother, Nieves, was from France. As much mom studied Mexican, Spanish, and French history, culture, and food, embracing it all as the fabric of who she was. So, my mother's admiration for Napoleon and Elvis wasn't for the reasons you might imagine. Elvis is remembered as the king of rock and roll and Napoleon as an emperor of France, but it wasn't their conquering warrior or hip rock star personas that impressed her, rather their humble beginnings and work ethic and their courageous bootstrapping against all odds rise to fulfill their dreams captured her heart. Neither man was born into power or wealth. both desired to leave behind a legacy that would impact the generations that would come after them. I believe that is what she admired most about them. Napoleon was one of 7 children. He had 5 more siblings who were either stillborn or didn't survive infancy. His mother, Letitia, was the dominant influence in his childhood, so much too so that he would go on to say, "The future destiny of the child is always the work of the mother." I truly believe that the true destiny of who you will become relies on that mother figure and even the father figure, most definitely. But why do I believe in the mother figure? Because she's normally the center, the one that's mainly the most time spending time with those kids. So they could actually learn, they could grow, they could be in a safety environment, and they could continue thriving in life. So that's why I believe that it depends on the mother. So this is a sentiment that I relate to the indelible impression my mother left on me, and really all who knew her has been every bit as impactful. Elvis Aaron Presley was born to Vernon and Gladys Presley in Tupelo, Mississippi. His twin brother Jesse was delivered stillborn 30 minutes before Elvis entered the world. Elvis' father worked at odd jobs, struggling to make ends meet. The Presley family lived on food stamps and the good graces of neighbors and friends for much of Elvis' childhood. Elvis' mother was a powerful and abiding influence in his life, taking him to church, allowing him to sing in the church choir. It was here that he found his love for music, and music would become his outlet. She supported her son each step of the way, although he was never properly trained and could not read music. Elvis learned to play by ear and making his first record in 1956, but it was his knack for live performance that would endure him to a generation of young fans and worry an entire generation of parents for his charismatic character and the way he moved his hips when he sang. Elvis gave the younger generation of this day a sense of belief in themselves, even bringing different cultures together with his music. Bringing different cultures together through his music included bridging the racial divide in America. Elvis grew up in a poor, mostly black neighborhood in Tupelo, Mississippi, and in his youth attended black churches that inspired his deep love for gospel music. He admired and was greatly influenced by black artists like Big Mama Thornton, who sang the original Hound Dog, Little Richard, an actual rock and roll singer, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the electric guitar pioneer, and B.B. King, the blues superstar, with whom Elvis had a long, close friendship. I know this is a quality my mother greatly admired in Elvis. In her case, growing up in an age, culture, and even home that looked down people because of their different color and ethnicity, she saw Elvis as rebellious against that prejudice, a champion for all the people. Elvis lost his mother to heart failure just as his music career was taking flight in 1958. Devastated by her death, it is said that his life was never the same afterwards. In that way, I can relate to Elvis. It seems as if the oxygen was sucked out of the world when I lost my mom. Unfortunately, the endings of these two men, stories, Napoleon and Elvis, are more tragic than worthwhile than Napoleon's later life was characterized by pain, having played a significant role in shaping European history during the 19th century, having reached unprecedented heights of power. His life came crashing down around him uh, as his life actually spun out of control. His marriage imploded in unfaithfulness. His people lost faith in him. He struggled with depression and anxiety. He wound up in exile on an island that the remainder of his life, humiliated physically and with emotional pain. He suffered a pain death to stomach cancer at the age of just 51, emotionally destroyed and alone. The last days of Elvis' life were also tragic. It's quite sad to me that one of the things Elvis had been most passionate about was helping hippies beat their addictions to drugs and alcohol turned out to be his own great struggle and eventually downfall. Substance abuse played a significant role in ending Elvis' marriage to Priscilla in 1973. So excessive drug use characterized the rest of his life. In August of 1977, Elvis was discovered unresponsive on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion, an eye for the good in people. Watch and see why my mom had that eye to see good in people. Tragedy marked the end of these two men's lives. Mom saw the good within their stories, and I dare say that the good within these two men as well. She saw the wherewithal in each man to overcome humble beginnings and their refusal to let those circumstances define them as virtuous. She saw their heart for people in need, Napoleon for an oppressed people that desperately desired to be free, and Elvis for a generation that longed for their voice to be heard and to find common ground. She recognized these men for the audacity of their larger than life dreams and their determination and perseverance to pursue them. She no doubtfully recognized their flaws, but chose to see the good. I believe that in itself is a tremendous gift to possess, seeing beyond people's flaws. My mom recognized that everyone has a purpose and capacity, and that by applying honesty, integrity, and hard work to their pursuits, everyone can fulfill their purpose and capacity. In this, she was an example of practicing what she preached. She saw and encouraged the potential in everyone around her of the many gifts that make up her legacy. I wrote in A Legacy of Love, I want to develop my mother's compassionate heart and alternates for the needs of others around me. The more I read the Gospels and the more I see Jesus' love for people, the more I realize what a treasured testimony my mother's life has been before my own eyes. I want to emulate her, continuing her ministry of love. It's not lost on me that these two men, my mother so admired, found much of their encouragement and inspiration in their own mothers. Their mothers' legacies loomed large in their hearts and lives. This gift I share. I share this gift common with Napoleon and Elvis. It is a gift I most desire to instill in my children. As Napoleon said, the future destiny of my child is always the work of the mother. Once again, as Napoleon said, the future destiny of the child is always the work of the mother. My mother exemplified these men's most admirable qualities, embracing her humble roots, bringing tireless work ethic to whatever task she tackled, making the most of the very little, and bringing people together like their mothers. My mom inspired me. It's my desire to carry my mother's legacy forward. In desiring to fulfill those words prayed over me years ago, to be leading, helping, and setting people free. I find these aspects of Napoleon and Elvis stories, Napoleon's heart for the oppressed and Elvis' willingness to step into the fray and bring people together out of their differences. Most inspiring. I want to be one who looks for the good in people and believes for healing and reconciliation, even when the divide seems insurmountable. So nothing is impossible with God. So with that said, yes, I definitely carry the same characteristics of believing that the mother has a big uh, foundation or the big destiny, the future of her children in a way. Why? Because that's who they receive part of their growing experiences and example and guidance and the mother has a big role in the children's lives, and also the father should have the same role. But honestly, in society it doesn't happen that way. Mothers tend to be more involved, and it not doesn't always mean that way. It doesn't always completely 100% follow that or happens that way. But we're expecting that the mother will always be mostly involved with their children's lives, and the father tends to be more behind, waiting, um, or working or involved in other things. But I truly follow the heart that my mother had by sharing the life of Elvis and this life of Napoleon as well. I actually went and I watched the movie of Napoleon because I wanted to understand more the reasons why my mother believed in them, why she was so involved, or why they meant so much to her. It sure now makes a very clear impression or image of why she was so fond of them, as I am also extremely fond of knowing their humble beginnings, but not only that, to know that there was a mother that was always involved. That's why I'm sharing this message today. It would make a big difference if every parent was involved in the life of their children for the good sake, for a good change, for them to fulfill the purpose that God has in store for them. So definitely this book is worthwhile. It's called The Legacy Continues, and it has so much to read, so much to learn. It's my mother with me and my own journey. So I invite you to read it, as well as The Legacy of Love and The Legacy Continues, my books as well, Cooking with Love, that will give you not only a recipe, but the history behind each one of those recipes. Where did it come from? Where it originated? How it got here? A workbook that will actually help you to heal, to find transformation, forgiveness in the midst of so much adversity and problems. And also, there's a book already that's out there with Kevin Harrington, the original Shark Tank guy, and other authors with me. So the Leader's Impact book that will be a blessing to you, as well as my devotional that's coming out around the corner very, very soon in a couple of days. It's in English, Spanish, and what do you think? I also did it in Italian. So with that said, I hope you have a marvelous day, and don't ever forget to continue dreaming big. It is possible. You just have to continue pressing on, and you will see that the rest, give it to the Lord. He will help you. So I can't wait to see for you to watch my next episodes. I will have a lot of guests, a lot of people that will come and share their own experiences and their own journeys in life. So have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye-bye.